What's going on, guys? This is Justin from the Prometheus Lens Podcast. Have you head over to our website yet and checked out our store? If not, you need to. You're missing out. FOMO is a real thing. Fear of missing out. But if you go to the website and go to the store link, we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we have tank tops, multiple colors. We even have a coffee mug to put your Kevlar Joe's coffee in. It's really cool. And we actually have 3 or 4 different designs and some new ones that just came out recently. Check some of these guys out. We have the classic logo tee. Got the logo on the front. Has a QR code on the back so people can see it, scan it, and go straight to the website and find us that way. But then we have this one. We have the look up for him, not for them. Inspired by the Karen Wilkinson quote in the episode that I done with her. We have a nice scenic wood scene with the logo and a man standing here with a spaceship and a light beaming down at him with the phrase right in the center. Look up for him, not for them. Same thing, has the QR code on the back to scan to bring people and find the content. And here's one of my personal favorites. Esau Incognito. Got the Bigfoot, the logo inside of the beard. And if you look closely here in the hat, it says, "Hello, my name is not Esau." Got the shades on, trying to blend in. But if you like some of those guys, head on over to the website, check out the store. All these designs, and I think we have another one too that says "Welcome to the Hero's Journey." Has a guy with a backpack walking through the mountains. But all that stuff is available in t-shirts. It's in hoodies, tank tops, multiple things, multiple colors for you to choose from, and we even have a Esau coffee mug for the Kevlar Joes. But all that stuff helps support the show. That is a third-party vendor. People see these shirts, they ask you, "Hey, what is the Prometheus Lens?" And it points them right back to the show here and helps us to grow the show. Appreciate all the love, all the support, guys. Head on over to the store and check out some of the merch. Welcome to the Hero's Journey. The Hero's Journey. What is happening and what is up? Hold out your glass, because we're about to fill it up.
All things continually lead back to serpents, dragons, fairies, Nephilim, and fallen angels.
In the distance looms a mystical mountain.
As Mike Heiser used to say, if it's in the Bible and it's weird, it's probably important.
At its peak, a great fire burns, concealing the Prometheus Lens.
This development of this knowledge that's being talked about within the mystery schools.
An ancient artifact said to reveal the hidden truth within a deliberately darkened world.
There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world.
Join us as we travel and explore the vast unknown. It's a hero's journey with dragons to slay, damsels to save, and innumerable treasures to hoard. Torches high.
The Smithsonian, they caught wind of a giant skeleton. They would send their agents out to get it.
But it takes courage to move forward, to move out of the shadows, out of the unreality that we think of as reality.
We are all on the hero's journey.
Mankind has been in contact with and influenced by extraterrestrials.
Leave the Sitchin mound of bull feathers out of it.
Look at it from a different perspective.
What is happening and what is up? Hold out your glass, because we're about to fill it up. Welcome to the Prometheus Lens Podcast, the place where the conversations are always enlightening. I'm your host, Justin, and here we'd like to use the allegory of the Prometheus Lens to take a second look at everything. Well, guys, welcome back to another show. If you've not done so already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button down below. We'll have the socials. Check us out. And also, special drop just come in today. We got some new lines of shirts. This is the I Am Not Esau Bigfoot Incognito design. We got a few of them over at the website. Go check those out, brand new. But today we have a great guest, a great friend, brother in Christ. His name is Enoch Putris. and he has the show called The Rundown of Our Reality. And so if you guys have not checked him out, be sure and check him out. He's got some mind-blowing stuff, great information, well-read and well-researched individual. But I happened to catch one of his episodes, and he was talking about one of our favorite subjects, the giants. And he talks about how he has a theory on how these Rephaim came back after the flood. It was just a really great episode. So I reached out to him, see if he'd come on the show and give us a rundown of that reality. So Enoch, thank you for coming and sitting down and talking with this man.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
So, giants, we got bloodlines, sexual rights. We have just a smorgasbord of theories on how these Rephaim come back after the flood. So I'm really excited to dive into this. But before I do, let me pull myself back. Just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and listeners if they're not familiar with you, who you are, your likes, interests, and just give us a feel for who you are.
Look, my favorite thing is to walk along the beach, sandy beach, with no sandals, just my bare feet. Feel the sand in between my toes, that kind of thing.
What's your age? What's your number? What's your sign?
The cool breeze and my lack of hair. All right, so yeah, my name's Enoch Putris. I have the rundown of our reality. I guess channel. There we go. That's the word. And I previously, before I got into this world, I was a researcher and learner of government finance. Now I'm in Canada, not in same place as Gary Wayne, up in Canada here, and basically the rules are pretty much the same, right? The system of Babylon it doesn't really change as much in Canada and the United States. The difference is the United States accepts all contracts, and Canada does not accept the contracts it writes. But what I mean by contracts is every single statute, every single law is a contract that that you can use to create business. And up in Canada, it's far more corrupt, whereas they will withhold that business from you. So, but anyway, so I learned all about government finance. And when the CERB came out, the CERB is in Canada where the checks were given out, right? So everybody got a check because they were shutting down. Well, when a country shuts down, number one, a country shuts down nationwide, across the world, does that constitute as an emergency? Of course it does, right? Logic dictates, unless you talk to my brother. He questions everything I say, even though here you go, here's the definitions. Anyway, so it's because I don't have a PhD next to my name. But anyway, of course, it constitutes as an emergency, and every our countries, our West, especially in the West here, we have emergency acts. So whenever there is an emergency that happens, the Emergency Act would come in, create the tax credits to pay for everything and all that sort of stuff. So when the CERB came out, again, in the United States, where I can't remember what it's called, but where they handed out all the checks, what that did, right, is they put aside the Emergency Act and the ability to create the tax credits to pay for everything. Because if the government creates a tax credit, right, a refundable tax credit, and it's internal within the government, then they can create a tax credit, believe it or not, to wipe out that debt completely. It just disappeared, but because it stayed within the government. So you can create a refundable tax credit and a non-refundable tax credit, wipe them out. So what they did was they took the finances of our in the United States, it is called the trust, the public trust. In Canada, we have a general fund, right? It's in our public administration acts, on which I'm not sure what they're called in the United States, but it would be under the kind of the same thing. It's wherever the public trust is held, right? The public trust literally means it's a trust fund. And in Canada, same thing. It is the same thing. It's a trust fund, but it's just called a general fund. And so what they did is they took the funds directly in those accounts and drained them completely. So if you look at from 1972 to and I'm getting to where I'm coming from here. I'll clear this up. It might be boring for people. To me, it's absolutely fascinating. Anyway, so 1972, when they left the Bretton Woods Agreement or the Bretton Woods Accord, to 2020, right? The dollar, the U.S. dollar, and Canada is pretty much side by side with the United States. The value of the dollar dipped to 10 cents by the time it was 2020, right? From 1972 to 2020. Right, the value of the dollar was 10 cents to what it was in 1972. So they drained all the accounts. 2020 to 2022, they printed, both the United States and Canada and England and all the West, because they're all in lockstep together to absolutely destroy us. They printed more currency in those 2 years than they ever did from 2020 to 1972. They're just printing it like it's crazy. So when, and it's artificially being held up right now. We're seeing how groceries are getting higher and higher and more expensive. But yeah, the crash is just going to come, and it's just going to come hard. And so there's no escaping. But when I saw this, when I figured it out, Justin, when they brought out the legislation and I read the legislation, I was just like, oh my goodness, they're totally bankrupting the country. I have to tell everyone must know, right? Like, I was pacing and back and forth in the living room. It's where my office was at the time. Back and forth in the living room, and like, oh, I'm calling friends. I'm like, this is what's going on. How many people cared? 2. So it's just like, oh my goodness, like everyone's asleep. I don't get it. So then I just started researching more and getting to understand what's really going on. Then I found this amazing story called the Nephilim, right? And I believe it was, when I stumbled upon it, you know what it was? It just came to me. It was, believe it or not, because I wasn't a Christian yet. I became a Christian in 2020, August 5th. It was the show, it was the TV show, Supernatural. Okay, so I was watching Supernatural, and I got halfway through the last season, and then it stopped because of COVID. And then we go, well, Nephilim, what's a Nephilim anyways, right? Because they're, it's he's half Satan, half Satan's son or whatever, and he's there to destroy God, right? In Supernatural, I don't know if you watched it. It's literally the how they defeat God. It's the tribulation told through Freemasonry. But anyway, the show, I looked it up, and God in a Nutshell came up. So I watched God in a Nutshell.
Yeah,
and
then, he's the one that red pilled me. Oh, Trey.
Yeah, Trey, and so I watched that one. Then I watched The Theory of Everything, right, and it just blew my mind. Like, how can you be so open to that stuff right away? And I realized, God is real. Oh my goodness. I've been, I'm so sorry for forsaking you. Holy Spirit, I'm so sorry. Jesus, forgive me. And just on my knees, and I'm so sorry. And that's where it started. And I just boom, straight in, and I didn't stop. And because I understood government finance so well, I could blaze through the puppets within media. I have a background in media as well. the puppets in media, the puppets in government, where by 2020 or by 2021, by the summer 2021, I realized everyone's a puppet. They're all in on it. I was super, got my tinfoil hat fully on. Actually, I had a whole tinfoil suit. I'm, they're all in on it. You guys don't understand. And because you can't just explain all this stuff in one fell swoop, in a conversation, you have to show people nowadays. And so I created the rundown of our reality so that I could show people, what's going on. The only thing that in the very first video that I put in, the rundown of our reality for the greatness of God, is at the end, the rapture, the pre-trib rapture. And that's because I was listening to other people, not listening to what the Bible is actually saying. Pre-trib is, sorry if there are any on your show. It's not happening. And I can go through that too of what's coming. It's crazy. But anyway, so that's why I created the channel, and I was just going to do that one video. That's it. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for any to get popular, to get any fame. I'm getting to warn people of what is coming, because this is, you need to be responsible and not bury your head in the sand. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, you have to understand the reality we're in. And so that's why I made the channel. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, this is a good topic that people should learn. And I don't like to rehash stuff that's already been done. So I created a library, and I linked it in my all my videos, and you can go to the library and do your own, stuff that people have already talked about. I don't want to ride on their coattails. They've already done the work. I don't have to do that work again. So what I try to do is do things that are new, link things together, help solve the puzzle pieces, and that's basically the channel. So you'll see all my videos are really quick, they're long, some are pretty long, but they're quick topics within there. So they'll be 5 minutes. I think the longest one is 17 minutes, in one of my videos, but they're pretty short subjects. So you don't have to, I don't go into major depth. If you are interested, well, I have the library, and you can go in the library and you can do your searching. So yeah, anyway, that's the whole kit and caboodle of Enoch Futris, and why I've gone down the crazy road. So yeah, there you are.
Well, I just learned something, and my mind's been blown anyway, because like I said in the intro, you are one of the most well-read and studied guys that I know, so that really did just blow my mind that you just came to Christ in 2020. So,
right. Yeah,
you've been at this 2 years, and you're way ahead of me when I was only 2 years in. I'll just leave it like that.
Coming up to 4 years.
Well, 4 years, yeah.
Time's flying by, man. I totally understand, yeah.
Hey, I'm working on 40 now, so my mind is not what it used to be.
Oh, my goodness. I'm working on 40. Oh, boy. That just smacked me in the face.
Well, you're 22? What, 23?
Right. All right. I look young. I'm coming up to 50 in a few years. That's what my family likes to remind me. But no, I'm 47. So,
well, let's get into the giants here. So, the people that listen to my show, they're steeped in the Nephilim and things like that. But
right.
I love rehashing some of these topics, because you look at it from a different angle. Somebody's got a different perspective, and talk to 4 different people about the same subject. Each one of them has a different perspective or takeaway. And like you mentioned, puzzle pieces. I talk about that often. I'm a puzzle piece gatherer, and I take this piece from this person, this piece from that person, and try to put together a whole picture. But with the Nephilim, it says that the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also after.
Well, the mighty men, right?
Yeah. So the big question is, well, how did they come back? So some people, say, oh, well, there was a second incursion, or some, if you go to the Midrash and Jewish traditions, King Og was hanging off the side of the boat. So you just got to have all these different, theories and ideas. But your approach was very sound, and it was also backed with, with a lot of science. So if you can just walk us through your theory on how the Nephilim, better known after the flood as the Rephaim, made their comeback.
Sure, yeah. And then we got the Gibborim and all these. But anyway, yes. So the giants, the mighty men, and one of the things that I really like about this explanation for people is then you can easily explain how there could be 12-footers and not have to be an apologist. No, it's science. It's actually from the information that we know today, it can absolutely happen. It's not a fairy tale. It's not, it's legitimate. And I thought this theory would take off like a racehorse. Like everybody would be like, whoa, that makes total sense. No, I think I've been on 4 or 5 podcasts, and it pretty much goes nowhere after that. But so yeah, share this, people. Get the word out so that it helps for people to understand, and helps for the Sethite people, right? That believe that the sons of Cain were the I can't remember the Sethite.
Yeah, the good sons of Seth bred with the ungodly line of Cain.
Right. There
like we say on the Dig Bible podcast, kissing cousins don't make 30-footers, guys.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So one of the things that we have to first understand is when we study the occult, and I don't mean practice. I mean read some of the books and pray up. Absolutely, read some of the books or just parts of books, and you start to understand how the occult works. And when you go back, Justin, let's go back in time. 2,000 years before
we're going.
Jesus Christ.
We don't need roads.
Yeah. So we when we go back, then we look at the Baal and Moloch, or we look at the small g gods that the tribes of Canaan were worshiping, right? So what do they demand? They demand child sacrifice, right? So that's something important. Now, the few theories on how the Rephaim came to be, the first was a second incursion, and that's where the fallen came back to the daughters of man, creating the new line of giants, right? They already know the punishment, right? They know where they're going to go, and they're going to go for a long time. That takes them off the board. Why would they do that? It makes no sense.
Are you a hunter, hiker, prepper, or just someone who likes to enjoy the great outdoors? If you are, you know that good quality gear is hard to come by. Squatch Survival Gear is veteran owned and 100% made in America, baby. And their cryptid-inspired line has you covered. Everything from Sasquatch to Mothman. And whether it's a weekend trip, a day hike, or the ultimate bug-out bag, Squatch Survival Gear has you covered. Head on over to SquatchSurvivalGear.com and use the code PLP10 for 10% off store-wide. Hey guys, what's going on? I don't know if you've followed me since the beginning, but the audio and video quality has gotten a lot better in a very short amount of time. Now, I would like to take credit for that, but I just simply cannot. A good friend of mine named Jason has come forward and helped me with this whole process. He's been editing the videos. He's been bringing the audio levels up and equalizing them and compressing them, making everything nice and clear. And it's just been a huge, huge help to me. But, so I want to give him props and thank him personally. And if you have a podcast and you are looking to free up a lot of time and bring the quality of your work up, you need to holler at Jason. He is the man, and he will hook you up. And I'm telling you firsthand, all that extra free time that you're going to have on your hands, you're going to be able to enjoy that with your family, hiking, just whatever, festivities you like to do and enjoy. And it's going to free up more time for you to do the one thing that you love to do, to create content. So I highly recommend you go check out Jason, up your game and your free time. Links will be in the description.
Now, the second is an epigenetic function. Now, epigenetics, above genetics. So it's not changing your DNA. It's going on top of your DNA. So if you live in if you have two the same people, right, and one's down in the caves and one's up on the ground, you'd have a different epigenetic functions. So when you're in a cave, you'd see better at night. When you're in a cave, you'd look younger. When you're up above, you'd have a more weathered face. All that sort of stuff. It's loosely like epigenetics. I'm just trying to explain like the basically kind of how that works. It's not genetics. It is your environment that changes you, right? So let's say you eat toxic food, you get bit by a snake, the other twin of you doesn't, well, then you'll get complications to that and have an epigenetic. It doesn't change your genes, but it changes how your body reacts to to that poison or whatever, right? When you eat different things, right? Anyway, all right, I think I'm done with epigenetics. I think everybody got it. And third, giant survived the flood, simply by either going underground, surviving on the boat, like you said, on the side of the boat. And all these are discussed regularly. Like we've heard them ad nauseum, especially in our circles. So, what do I talk about that is so different, and it's actually biblically sound when you think about it? What do I talk about when it comes to the creation of giants? All right, so we go back to Baal and Moloch, and I believe Baal and Moloch even come from Babylon itself before it came down to Canaan. Like it all followed. Excuse me. Anyway, so the sacrifices that are demanded by Baal is a child sacrifice. Right now, there's a reason for that. Right, so you take a child and you put that child on the burning Baal metal statue, and you sacrifice it to Baal. Now, what happens then is once that child dies, then the people there, or monsters, would then take that child and they would drink the blood, and then they would eat the flesh as well. And I'm not saying all of them did this, because it's not feasible. There would be breeders, and there would be And then there would be like the mighty men, the army, the king's sons, the king's guard, people like that would get access to this child blood, fetus, right? Because they also practiced abortion, and they would then take the blood, take the fetus, eat it, drink it. And through this practice, there's something within a child that is coveted for mighty men, for these giants, and that's growth hormone. So if you're one of these lucky, using air quotes, here, if you're one of those lucky in the king's army to be fed this, they'd start very early in life, because if you're getting extra growth hormone as a child, well, you're going to growth spurt for 18, 20 years, and who's to say? Because what happens with our body, right? And it happened to me way too early, if you know what I mean. Is I think once you get to your height, that your genetics, or even epigenetics, right, depending on your environment, say you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you develop plates on the ends of your bones, so they can't grow anymore. That's why when these people with giantism, right, that's why when these people have the growth hormone that turns on, it doesn't ever turn off, they get disfigured, because their bones have created those plates, so there's no more growth. So that growth has to happen somehow. So then they get deformed hands, deformed jaws. They get that real brow arch, like Andre the Giant. And he was in so much pain in his life, right? So that is giantism. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you're a child and you get growth hormone as a child all the way through your teens, those plates wouldn't form, right? Because your body is still getting this growth hormone.
Yeah, there's no genetic ceiling.
Exactly. It's not going to shut off. It's just if you keep taking growth hormone, you're going to grow, and you're going to grow wide too. Like you're going to become this big, beefy, satanic killer. And so who knows how long it takes till you stop. Now modern days, right? Let's look at the NBA, and how all of a sudden everyone is 6'7", and now I stopped watching the NBA after the Supersonics left Seattle. I was a Supersonics fan, so Gary Payton was my boy. Yeah. And but anyway, so I stopped. So I'm just like saying, I'm just picked a figure 6'7", because they're all ridiculously tall. They were back then. But if you're a parent and you want something great for your kids, what do? You give them. You can make deals, and then you can get growth hormone and give your kids this growth hormone, and then they'll grow nice and tall. Now, I'm not a part of it. It's conspiratorial, absolutely. It's just me, because we now hear how people are approached within entertainment. We hear how people are approached within sports. We hear, you hear how some, like, what was it? Jordan didn't have his growth spurt until he reached college or something like that. He was short, and then all of a sudden had this massive growth spurt at the end. Just examples, but we didn't have all these ridiculously tall people until really quite recently. We had like 6 foot, like my grandfather. I'm 5'7". Don't ask what happened to me, but my grandfather was 6'4", right? he was a giant compared to most people, but a natural giant, not a baby eating one. Just so we're clear here, people. So if we go back into those times, right? So all I'm saying is today we see it. We see the practice of growth hormone being given to people, and I also believe it's like, again, I haven't attended any of the caves down. I'm not talking about the ones that we built, and when I say we, I mean humans. I'm talking about the lower caverns where the giants are waiting for a revelation to come up in the war against us and God. So anyway, go back in time. So we're going to get back in the time machine, head back. By eating these babies, it's absolutely great sin. The Tartarus, yeah, exactly. It's up in the Tartarus. Ooh, it's roomy. All right, so the other thing too, the other part of it, because the thing that people don't understand is there has to be a reason. Like, there has to be rewards. I mean, material rewards here, right? You're destroying your soul. You're destroying,
Well, there has to be payoffs, or why else would you be sacrificing your children and turning into these other gods? I've talked about that several times. It's like, no, this stuff was real. Because, I mean, why would you sacrifice your children and do all these abominations if there was no payoff? Mm-hmm. Even I was reading just the other day in 2 Kings, I can't remember the country he was from, but this king was fighting Israel, and they were losing. So he takes his eldest son, the one that was supposed to take the throne next, chains him to the wall of the city, and sets him on fire, and dedicates him to Molech. And it says that immediately the Israelites started to fall and lose in battle, and they fled. I mean, there was payoffs and rewards for the sacrifices and the things they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the material rewards, right? So the material rewards, because you have your breeders. Even today, we have the breeders so that they could eat the children, right? Now the breeders would also get some sort of reward from the king, from the royal family, from the royal bloodlines that believe they're from the Nephilim. And it basically, so the more children that you give, to the better your life would be in these in these days. Because again, there has to be a reward. There has to be some sort of within this society. And so when the Hebrews started participating, now you're understanding fully the heinous crimes that they were committing, and why they were destroyed also by God, or put into captivity by God. Because the captivity started not long after they got into the land, and into Israel. They just would immediately fall to sin. And like the onslaught from that's because they didn't get rid of all the Canaanites. So the tradition, the religion stayed. They didn't listen to God. They did their own thing. They didn't completely get rid of them. Now, I also have another theory on the. So if you guys want more modern examples, right? So I have The Anatomy of a Skinwalker is my latest video. And in that video, I talk about this as well, and I get into it at the beginning, the creation of giants within, or the creation of mighty men within the Rephaim, and when from Joshua or from Moses up until King David, when they're destroying the giants, getting them out of the land, destroying the religion, the practices. Well, they also we know there's a tribe called the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians are the sea people. And then, so the Phoenicians left Canaan and created trade routes all throughout the world, and you can actually track the coming out of the Mediterranean. There, you can track the current going all around. It'll take you all throughout the Pacific Islands, all the way to South America, and up from there. Highly encourage people to watch The Anatomy of a Skinwalker. It will blow your mind.
Hey, psst. Come here. Just act natural. Prometheus Lens has a secret group. It's a gang of like-minded people searching for truth on what they're calling the hero's journey. They have secret monthly meetings, meet and greets with authors and speakers, and secret members-only episodes that nobody else gets. These guys and gals also get all the shows 48 hours earlier than the rest of us. But a little birdie told me that you can go to PrometheusLensPodcast.com and follow the members links at the top of the page. And once you sign up, like magic, all those secret episodes just pop into your Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast app that you use. They make it so easy that your grandmother can do it. It's so cheap that your landlord is a member. You're without an excuse, dude. George's eye. Yeah, and I just recently was deep diving on some films and some stuff, and it was Holocaust of the Giants, that DVD with Timothy Alberino and Steve Quayle.
Okay.
And they investigated Sardinia, and they found all kinds of, Nephilim giant and burial tombs and things like that in Sardinia, and all kinds of stories from the locals saying that when they were kids, they saw the bodies, the skeletons of these 12-foot giants
in caves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that a long time ago, like 2021. I think I grabbed that one.
But in that video, he was talking about how, you see all this Canaanite stuff, even their burial tombs were shaped like bullheads. And that, I can't remember the name of the town, but it was like near the Pillars of Hercules. And that there was a set of pillars there, and there was an inscription, a Canaanite inscription. And it says, here we, the Canaanites, dedicate this site. We were ran off from our homeland from Joshua the robber.
Right.
And then he drew the ocean currents takes you straight to New England. And he was saying during this time, the ocean levels were a lot higher. So from New England right there, that there was a waterway that led right into the Great Lakes. He said, so the Phoenicians, these Canaanites, were able to get right into the heartland of America. And in Michigan, they find all these ancient copper mines. Mm-hmm. And he said that the Michigan copper has markers that makes it very easily identifiable. That it's 99.8% pure.
Right.
And that they find this copper in Sardinia and in the Mediterranean and stuff, and they know it comes from Michigan because it's the only place in the world with that purest of copper. So it was showing that they were going over there and coming back, and like you were saying,
trade route.
Yeah, doing trade routes and bringing all this stuff back and forth. It's just
and
amazing.
Also teaching their religion, right? Their satanic worship because all of those specific islands, they do totems, they practice cannibalism, and if you follow it, and they have the Canaanite altars all over the earth, they're.
They found the Baal stone at America's Stonehenge.
Right.
Had that Paleo Hebrew inscription that said to Baal of the Canaanites we dedicate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It's I don't want to give it all away. I highly suggest you watch the Anatomy of a Skinwalker, because it's just a light will flick on for you. And I think a lot of people's attitudes towards a specific people in North America is going to change, because you have okay. So I brought this video up, and I'm on BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, but YouTube is censored heavily, and what's the other one? Telegram for chats and stuff, and I have to bring it up. Instagram. I'm rarely ever on Instagram, and I put this one up on, and BitChute is like of my channels, is the fastest growing channel, and I have one video there. You were already transhuman. Which has over 30,000 views on BitChute. It just blew up. It got copied everywhere. And but when I put that video up, oh man, it felt like everybody on BitChute were Aryan boys, Hitler lovers, and I'm just like, what's going on? Get off of my channel. And so I ended up posting a book that in there, and there's a link, so if anybody wants to read it, because it's banned, you can't get it anywhere, and it's called The Pink Swastika, because we all know the occult practice in debauchery. They have to, in order to get their powers from the demonic realm, right? That's one of the sacrifices. They have to corrupt their bodies. They have to. Right, in order for these demons to take over and give them what they want, they have to sacrifice something, and so they practice this debauchery. And we all know Hitler was heavy into the occult, so he was absolutely practicing in the anal debauchery, and so the pink swastika. So I just put that up there, and I guess you guys read this book, and then talk to me after. If you study the occult, you would not be a Hitler lover at all, because you would understand. Because the way I tell people, like World War I, World War II, they were all planned, right? Just like this World War III, we see it planned. It's all scripted. It's not just happening because of poor judgment. No, this poor judgment is happening for a reason.
And this whole manipulation of the DNA, it does. When I watched your video, I started just making all these connections in my head as far as the commandments. When you get into Leviticus and Deuteronomy, what it says repeatedly, and it has it in the same chapter, like it's in the same context. It tells you, don't seek necromancers, don't seek spiritual mediums, do not drink the blood. It says it like several times throughout the entirety of both books. And all those things are connected together because they were drinking the blood and doing occult rituals and necromancy and summoning the dead ancestor cults, whether it was beknownst to them or not.
We can get into
was
that.
Nephilim giants. So therefore you had spiritual alchemy going on, and you also had the drinking of this blood and taking the life force, and that's what the Bible tells you repeatedly. This is the life force. Do not drink the blood. And even the Anakim, their name means blood liquor.
Blood liquors. Yep. I talk about them in the latest video too. And I love how smoothly you stirred me back from going down a rabbit trail. That was well done. Because I'll just go, man. I'll just go. So I appreciate it. Anyway, yeah. So, so anyway, yeah, when they're sacrificing. So I like to use the Aztecs for this because this one is absolutely obvious for people. Now, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but there's a reason we can't even protect it, right? Like they can build something to protect the pyramids, right? So people can go up and look down the pyramids. There's a reason why they don't do that. Right? It has to do with energy. It has to do with power. If you go up on top of the pyramid, because what people don't realize is the Earth is a battery. It's one giant battery, positive and negative. Right? So it's constantly exchanging electrons. Now, you go up that pyramid. You go to the top, and you hold a rod, or you hold and anything that would absorb electricity. You just stand with your arm up. You'd feel a tingling. Now, I'm getting this from a report that was done like in 1910, somewhere around there, where he had said, we were up on top, held our arms up, and they had, I can't remember what they had in their hands, but it sent a charge going through them. And that's a pyramid. It's focusing energy. Now, the pyramids used to have a metal cap on top of them, and that was removed. The metal cap would help to, again, focus that energy. Now, in the Aztecs, I had to say that so that people would understand this next step.
Well, even with modern science, we know grounding is a thing.
Yeah.
Barefoot on the ground, it releases information. That way the positive energy comes in and it releases the negative, and there's a whole industry out now for grounding and grounding sheets and all that stuff. Yep. And it's been scientifically tested.
Yeah, exactly. It's a swapping of electrons. So, which that creates it. But yeah. So the Aztecs. Now, what are the Aztecs known for? Sacrificing. Again, they pull the heart out and they eat the heart. But not everybody is allowed up top on the Aztec, the ziggurats, right? Only the holy and the ones getting sacrificed, right? Only the most holy priests and the sacrificed people. So when they go up there, and they're getting sacrificed. Now, you know that there's that energy flow, that energy transfer. And when you create extraordinarily evil deeds, you're breaking down the veil. So if you listen to ex-witches and warlocks, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, they sacrifice animals, they, to their gods, they'd sacrifice, God forbid, people, children, and they over their altar, right? And what that does is it creates a weakened veil, and that way the demonic entities can go back and forth whenever they want. So on top of the ziggurat, you have this energy transfer. You have the extreme crimes against God that are happening, and that is busting down the veil. The veil is the great restrainer. That's what's restraining us from across the earth. So the veil. So when you break down the great restrainer, and what happens in the tribulation, the great restrainer goes away, and you'll understand why. So it happens through the spilling of blood. So, when those portals basically open on top of the Aztec, on top of the Aztec ziggurats, then this is why the holy are only unholy to us, right? But this is why I'm using their terminology. The priests are the only ones allowed up there, because then they get to communicate with their gods, or the demonic entities that are there. They get to communicate directly because they've broken down the veil, and they have the energy transfer to get the portal operational, keep it strong. Because a portal is a torus field. That's just what it is. And there's a frequency on one end and a frequency on the other end. And that torus field, when you go through the torus field, right, then you're on the other side of the dimension, if you will, the veil. Dimension is a modern word for us for veil, and. And so they get to communicate and learn all the secrets, right? It's just Freemasonry of today. Back then, being practiced, they get all the secrets, while the people are the little ones, the plebs down there, who don't have any clue of what's going on. They just think that they are saving themselves from
the profane
disaster.
And the initiated.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the thing about, because Aztecs also worship. The Aztecs also worship eclipses, right? Where we learn, eclipses all over the world. What do we learn with Jonah and the whale? Right? When Jonah was finally dropped off into Babylon, Nineveh, what happened? It was an eclipse, and everybody repented. And that's because back then they knew what an eclipse meant. It wasn't some cosmic happenstance. That's Freemason lies, confusion, so that you don't figure out what's actually happening. When you get an eclipse, a real eclipse, right, a eclipse of totality across your nation or across the land where you reside, that is God telling you that if you don't shape up, that's what it says in the book of Jonah. If you don't shape up, I'm going to destroy you. That's what that sign means, an eclipse. And you watch all these videos of everybody, oh, wow, it's God. It's God removing the sun from you, saying, I am not pleased with you. That's what it actually means. But everybody wants to think that it's the way our Freemasons over at NASA have taught us. And I actually talk very much with an ex-NASA employee, not some small guy. He invented a low orbiting data collection. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't. But anyway, he's a big deal. He's head of operations, special projects, or was, of NASA, and he's a biblical cosmologist as myself. And when you study that stuff, you realize what the eclipse is. The eclipse is, God's showing you that He is angry. Wrath is coming upon you unless you repent now. But everybody watching the eclipse is, and where is it going? It's going all the way up into Canada, and Canada's going to have a bunch of disaster as well, up in that area around Toronto, and it's anyway. But the eclipse, Aztecs, giants, you don't have to steer me back. I'm coming back. But it should make sense for people now. Like, one of the things too about drinking lots of blood, because when we hear about the giants or the reports of the giants, like the one in the Middle East, in the cave that killed the Kandahar giant, thank you. He had blue skin, right? Well, that's kind of odd. How do you get blue skin just from drinking blood?
A giant Papa Smurf.
Yeah. Well, how do you get that? Well, you can get metal toxicity, right? There's a lot of metals in blood, and you can get metal toxicity. Iron, silver, copper. There's and when and when Dr. Monzo, he has a wonderful interview, if I may say another podcast name on here, Love Him to Death, Millennial Mustard Seed, and he talks about copper, and copper gives you red hair. And then silver, if you overdose on colloidal silver, which we already know turns your skin blue. And there's another thing that turns your skin blue. I can't remember what it is. I'd have to look it up again. But there you go. So if you drink too much copper, and we're supposed to have a lot of copper in our blood. We need copper. Copper basically destroys things that we don't want in our body, like parasites, for example. And so when you ingest a lot of this blood, you are getting tons of metals into your body, and boom, your skin turns, your hair turns, and that is scientifically proven. And I don't mean scientism. I mean, you take too many of specific metals, and
not Scientology.
Yeah, not Scientology, not scientism.
As Dr. Judd said on our show once before, keep the sitchin mound of bull feathers out of it.
Yeah. Exactly. But anyway, I don't know. I've been rambling a little bit there. Do you have any questions or?
Well, I just a question or a connection point, or your opinion if you think it's a connection point. You know, I put these on YouTube, so we got to be a little careful. But
okay,
the whole the circle with the line through it organization back, during the last election cycle, talked about this whole thing here, the drinking of the blood and the adrenochrome. Christians, I've heard it said many times that they think abortion is just modern day sacrifice to Baal. And then all it takes is some quick Google searching to find out what a large industry that this Planned Parenthood and abortion is, and that they're actually using these dead babies and the embryos in the creation of vaccines and medicines, taking limbs and body parts from these dead children for gene splicing and testing, and just all kinds of just sick demonic things.
Yep.
So do you believe that this is all interlinked in just a modern version?
Yeah, the modern Canaanites, right? And that's also will help you to understand with the Skinwalker video. There's a book you guys need to read, and it's called Occult Feminism: The Secret History of Women's Liberation. It's Satanism rebranded. That's all it is. And the practices and everything is just pushed upon and sold to women as liberation, as freedom, and it's absolute corruption. It's the garden all over again. So, it's basically leading to death and destruction of nations. That's what feminism is for. It's so carefully planned out. I don't know if you guys heard of the Daigle Report. I did a story on the Daigle Report, and Daigle is a Department of Defense contractor. Works for NSA, World Bank, UN. They report to these guys. So it's not some fake thing you don't have to worry about. And they did reports they came out in 2017 with 2025's population, and it's not good. It's 500 million people will perish between 2017 and 2025. Now, we haven't had 500 million drop in population. We've had deaths, but there was always births to keep up so that the population was always climbing. There's a $500 million drop, $500 million person drop. What happens with blood sacrifices? It destroys the veil. You murder spill the blood of 500 million people? What happens across the earth? What happens to the veil? What happens to the great restrainer?
And at the same time, you got CERN ripping away at it at the same time.
Yep. It's all planned, guys. It's all orchestrated. And I'm trying to wake people up. That's what my channel is. It's all about. My channel is so people can understand scientifically what's going on with like putting the Bible together with understanding today. And I try to get people deprogrammed from the Great Deception. That's really what my channel is about. And my Skinwalker has a great lesson in there. It's not just me glorifying No, it's exposing Skinwalkers and what to do. In the next video I'm going to be doing is the anatomy of a prayer, and I'm going straight down every single one, because people just, I want people to really understand how to pray for your land, how to prepare for your sleep, whatever, right? It's going to be heavy prayer, and all my stuff is available to download in the library. Everything that I make is in the library, so people can download it and use it to share it. I don't care. Just make sure that you credit Rundown Reality, not because I want my credit. No, I don't care about that. It's because I have the library. I have the library. People can go there and they can research for themselves. They can go in there and grab stuff. So I don't care if you take it all, but just link it back so that, or just put the link to the library. Perfect, right? I don't care. It's all good. So I have a fun one called the Antichrist. Antichrist Unveiled. It is a fun one. I don't particularly. I see it happening. I don't particularly, like, if I'm wrong, I'm like, yeah, okay. But I took a stab at it through the circle with the line through it, right? And what Quetzalcoatl, that's what that stands for, by the way. For anyone wanting to understand what the circle with the line through it stuff and the Trump stuff and the Anon stuff, it is a worship to Quetzalcoatl. So just knowing that MAGA, MAGA, is the highest level of satanic. It's the highest level you can achieve. Once you reach MAGA, you are now the highest level in the satanic church. So when you hear "Make America Great Again," it's an acronym, but it's an acronym for something else. Same with NASA. NASA means to deceive, or NASA is actually how it's pronounced, or something like. I'm not Hebrew. I'd have to ask my buddy. But and that's Jesus Freak Computer Geek. You should get that guy on, because he's pretty spectacular. But in the Antichrist video, first of all, the first 10 minutes of it is just hilarious, because I go through all the people that are being named the Antichrist, and I start with Hitler. Anyway, so
you throw up the pink swastika.
Yeah. I didn't post the pink swastika on that one. It was just a quick opening, make people giggle, and they still got mad at me in the comments. But that's BitChute. It's a trailer park. So, but yeah, there's lots of good stuff in there. Ones I would definitely encourage people to watch. The Skinwalker one, just for understanding history better, not what we've been told. Part of the Great Deception, the Great Lie. What to expect when you're expecting. That's a great breakdown of our very near future. Antichrist, if you want a good laugh. Don't fear, guys. We can't fear this stuff. We trust in God.
Yeah, we've already won.
Yes, already won, but we still got to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some, and I have the whole chessboard, understanding how we got here, right? The deceptions. Again, it's all about breaking down the Great Deception. And you guys, you're going to come across stuff in there where you just want to go, no, that's not real. That's not true. Guys, it's true. all the stuff I break down in there is true. And it's
you have to go into any conversation and lock your prepositions, and your dogma. You gotta take all of that and throw it in the closet and lock the door and hear a matter out. You got to be like the ones in Thessalonica. Hear out the matter and go to the scripture and test to see if it be true. You got to be, Bereans. And that's the problem and I was this way too. I mean, it took me a while to get where I am now, and I'm nowhere near where I'd like to be or need to be. But we're all subject to our teachings and our dogma, and we have to hear matters out. And if it's not familiar to you, your first instinct is to no. No.
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult. The med beds, that's something even Christians are really excited for. No, stay far away from the med beds. I have a video called Med Beds, Quantum Entanglement and Your Digital Copy. They'll be able to scan your brain, because we're computers. Our brain is computers. You don't need to attach a chip like
Musk.
Musk wants to do. That's distraction. We're already the computer. And what the med beds will do, they'll scan our bodies, right? They'll make a digital copy of your brain, right? Everything's stored in there because that's what the brain is. It's a hard drive. It's a organic hard drive. Scan it, and now they have a copy of you. Now, here's what they could do with that, all right? So they could take your brain and my brain and swap us. The man with two brains, they swap their brains. And that's what they could do with this. They're going to do that. That's just the beginning of it. You'll be able to change your DNA. You'll be able to grow a new limb. Isn't that wonderful? You'll be able to. So if you lost a limb in war, you'll be able to get a new limb. If you have bad teeth, you'll be able to grow new teeth. Right? If you have bad eyesight, it'll fix your eyesight. Whatever you need, it'll fix it. And this is coming after the rollout of disclosure. We already have med beds today, and I use the paper. I use the scientific paper to talk about it in that video. So I'm not just talking out of thin air here and making up stuff. And I go over the definitions of quantum physics, and it's 101. I don't go deep. Again, my videos are generally pretty quick, or at least the segments are generally quick. And then it's up to you if you want to go deeper. But sky's like you give them you go into the med beds, you give them the keys to everything about you, and the only thing that'll save you is
on accept all cookies.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, 100%. So yeah, stay absolutely out of them, because that is a big one to seriously avoid.
Well, Enoch, man, thank you for coming on, and definitely this is going to be the first of many. We've had many conversations in private, but I told you once I got this show up and running, we was going to have some conversations. So thank you for the first of many. But before I let you go, give everybody, I know you mentioned some of the channels and stuff that you're on, direct everybody where they need to go to find, your website, your library, social media tags. Let everybody know where they can find you and your material.
Absolutely. So Rundown of Our Reality, it's on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, YouTube, but censored. You'll see my YouTube channel is tiny because I don't really promote it. They kick people out for, chewing gum the wrong way. So I don't think they should be supported. And Telegram, if you guys want to chat, I have a little group. It's growing a little bit, but I mean, when I say a little bit. And what's the Instagram? So I'm rarely on Instagram. I hate it. Anyway, but anyway, yeah. So that's where you can find my stuff. And if any questions, join the Telegram. Hop on that. Read when you join the Telegram. read the instructions, or you'll get booted off immediately. Not by me, but that's just how I've set it up for spam. And and that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much everything. Again, I have the prayer coming up next, the anatomy of a prayer, and then there's another one. I want to redo the med beds because there's more information on med beds, and I think it would be really important to get out. And and also if you're by some dams in the United States, have a place to go and in high ground. If you've noticed, there's barges. Barges have been tied off and have been floating and smashing into dams all throughout the whole Ohio River right now. I'm just paying attention to that whole area. And the Great Lakes are all dammed, right, between the rivers and stuff. There's, the Colorado River. Pay attention to the dams in your area and what's going on, because I do believe, like I said, infrastructure is being destroyed in the United States purposely. Your government is not here for you; they're trying to destroy you. Both sides, even the great TRUMP. He's a part of it. When he gets taken out, and he's going to get taken out. That's going to be a great set off for civil war, along with the infrastructure damage, lack of food, the high price of everything. So just make sure you're paying attention to your area. The bridge that was knocked out, right? Have you looked at that footage and then you saw where? Sorry, we were turning this off. See, I'll just keep talking. But the bridge, right? So when the boat hit it,
the bird that went through the portal.
Yeah. The up at the structure points, there was an explosion at the structure points. Explosion. It's just metal. Why would there be? It's like the Simpsons couch catching on fire. It makes no sense. But there's an explosion along those hinges there, so it was internal, right? That was an internal attack. They could say that the Russians or the Chinese hacked in and turned it, but that doesn't explain the bridges exploding on American soil. Right, so happening from within. So pay very close attention to what's going on around your country in strategic places. If you're by a military base, have a place to go when things get really hairy, because there's those are strategic places that'll most likely be hit. I'm saying all this because I love you. Somebody said that, why do you hate America? And I'm just like, I don't hate America. I love you. I don't love a country. I don't love Canada. I love Canadians. Well, and we gotta, that's how we have to look at things. We can't get so over a material thing like a country. We have to. It's our neighbors that's important. Okay, all right. Yeah. Off my soapbox. Love you very much.
Yeah, and it's always good, guys. Just who cares if you get labeled as a crazy kook, conspiracy, doomsday prepper? It's always smart to have at least 2 or 3 weeks of food in reserved, an exit strategy plan, and some guns and ammo. It's always better to have those things and not need them than to need them and not have them.
I'm selling dehydrated water, so it's the shipping is great. It's not nearly as expensive as shipping the undehydrated water. So anyway.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out Enoch's stuff, like I said. And as you could clearly see, great conversations, intelligent conversations with some lighthearted humor along the way. Guys, until next time, torches high.